Lisa Haven here. Well, is DARPA creating the literal locust found in the book of Revelation? I'm talking about terrifying creatures that come out of the bottomless pit in the end times and can hurt and injure people for up to 5 months. You see, the question has to be asked because DARPA is messing with gene-modifying technology called CRISPR. And in their latest ploy, which is called Insect Allies, they're talking about implanting genetically modified viruses into things like mosquitoes and other bugs, in which the mosquitoes are then released on the population in order to help the farms and plants. Some scientists are obviously concerned. Now, before I show you the evidence, I want to give a quick shout out to my partner. You are either a prepper or you are a future victim. The truth of the matter is, emergencies do indeed happen. Hurricanes such as Hurricane Michael, Ivan, and Katrina all wreaked havoc across America, leaving thousands, if not tens of thousands of people out of power and the basic necessities of food. Right now in the northwestern United States, many states and cities are getting hit with massive flooding, leaving grocery stores empty and people craving the basic necessities. When the devastation hits, it's already too late to prepare. So prepare now when times are good, or suffer and pay the consequences later. Ask yourself, could you feed your family or your loved ones in the event of some kind of emergency? If not, then maybe today is the day that you get the emergency food supply that you need. Personally, I only trust and use my Patriot supply at preparedness.com. I've also managed to convince them to keep the specials that they've had last month and extend them into this month. So right now, you've got the amazing deal of getting a 2 weeks food supply kit at $75. Even better, you can get a 4 weeks food supply kit for $147. These kits will get you everything you need. I'm talking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, things like pancakes, potato soup, as well as long grain rice. The food kits at My Patriot Supply last up to 25 years, if not longer, and they ship directly to your door. Now is also the time to take advantage of that 45% off because I don't know how long it'll last. So go to hidewithlisa.com and get food storage today. All right. Back to the broadcast. So what does it say in the book of Revelation in the Bible about these locusts that will haunt and hurt mankind? We'll take a look at Revelation chapter 9, verses 3 through 10, which states, "Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were commanded not to harm the grass of the earth or any green thing or any tree, but only those men who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And they were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. In those days, men will seek death and will not find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them. The shape of the locust was like the horses prepared for battle. On their heads were crowns of something like gold, and on their faces were like the faces of men. They had hair like women and teeth like a lion. And they had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots with many horses running into battle. And they had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men for 5 months." Now, those are some pretty terrifying creatures. Now, some Christians believe that's a metaphor of some kind of technology or weaponry of the future. Others say that it could be some kind of genetically modified creature. Now, either or can make a case. However, but I have to question exactly what we're doing with technology such as CRISPR. CRISPR is literally taking the DNA of things like pigs and monkeys and humans and mixing them all together. Now, if you've not Googled ears on mice and rats, I highly encourage you to do so because they are literally growing human ears on animals and pigs and rats and these kinds of things. So the technology does 100% exist. And here's the fact. They're not going to tell you the level at which they're doing this. They're only really going to open up a little bit of the information. Keep in mind, everything we get from DARPA is about 50 years behind. So what I'm releasing to you today may not be the Book of Revelation bug at this point, but in the future, they could use that similar technology to get that type of creature. But let's go on over to this report. This is on skywatchtv.com. Will DARPA release nightmare locust of Revelation chapter 9? Pentagon wants to make an army of virus-spreading insects, and some scientists are rightly concerned. It goes on to state, can a task force of insects carrying genetically modified viruses save America's farms, or are they an uncontrollable bioweapon in the making? That's a good question. It goes on. This is the debate swirling around the controversial new Pentagon project called Insect Allies. Now, it's funded by the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, and it involves gene editing techniques like CRISPR to infect insects with modified viruses that could help make America's crops more resilient. If a cornfield were hit by an unexpected drought or suddenly exposed to a pathogen, for example, Insect Allies might be deployed as an army carrying a genetically modified virus to slow the corn's plant growth rate. Now, that is the claim to why they're doing it. They're saying if something were to hit, we can deploy these virus-spreading bugs to fix the problem. Sounds logical, but you're messing with God's creation here. And this is what has scientists concerned. Now let's go on over to DARPA to actually see a layout of the program itself. And I encourage you to read it in its entirety. It's a really short read. But basically the top reiterates that these are creatures that are being implanted with genetically modified viruses and being released on the food source in order to help the food supply. That is kind of what that whole top says. If they hit a drought or they hit a heat wave, then they can deploy these bugs to help, right? But the second part says this: to deploy such countermeasures, Insect Ally Performers teams are leveraging a national and an efficient two-step delivery system to transfer modified genes into plants. They're modifying now the plant using the bug, right? Insect vectors and the plant viruses they transmit. The program's three technical areas: viral manipulation, insect vector optimization, and selective gene therapy in mature plants, layer together to support the goal of rapidly modifying plant traits without the need for extensive infrastructure. Interesting. So DARPA's program is basically to modify the bugs with these genetically modified viruses into the bugs, and then have the bugs sent out, and then they can actually modify the plant by injecting their modified virus. Sounds a little bit bioweaponish, but I mean, imagine you having the capability to implant a virus into a bug. Why not, I don't know, implant the HIV virus or some kind of bioweapon and then release it on your enemy? That's a nightmare and a terrifying thing altogether. Or take it one step further, say 50 years into the future, why not start modifying the bugs with human traits and genes, or tails like a scorpion? Mix a scorpion tail with the wings of a bee, and mix the human hair of a woman and the teeth of a lion. You've got something similar to the Book of Revelation. We are only getting pieces of the future. But again, you have to remember that they're messing with God's creation. But you know what? DARPA actually issued a reply to this bioweapon threat, because you see, scientists were so concerned that they informed DARPA. So DARPA issued a letter saying it's of no concern. Here's the actual report issued by DARPA. You can see it on the screen there. But here they say that they are in 100% disagreement with the scientists, and they claim that it won't be any kind of biohazard. Needless to say, the two sides disagree nonetheless. One other question that I had in the back of my mind is, I've done multiple reports over this past year talking about the death and apocalypse of insects, insect apocalypse, right? Maybe when we're messing and implanting these things into insects, maybe it's killing off parts of and portions of the insects that we don't need to die. Because ultimately, you take out the insects, you can guarantee our food supply is going to go MIA, missing in action. Check out some of these articles on the apocalypse of insects. TheGuardian.com, warning of ecological Armageddon after dramatic plunge in insect numbers. NBCNews.com, scientists warn of insect Armageddon after dramatic drop in populations. Insectopia, the approach of insect Armageddon. Are insects disappearing? Now, there's literally about 50 more of these articles I could show you. I just showed you a few. But the fact of the matter is, something is happening to the insects. Could DARPA also be playing a role in that? And again, this is why I encourage you guys to prepare, have food, have water, have major supplies on hand. That's why I have partnered in the beginning of this with preparewithlisa.com. I'm a huge supporter of having food on hand because you never know what tomorrow holds, especially knowing that the insects are dying off. It messes with the food supply. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning into my channel. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.